Now I'll show you the syntax that comes with DokuWiki straight out of the box with no plugins. So whenever you edit a page, you'll see this top nav bar, and that gives you, various ways of formatting the page. If you know the syntax, you don't actually have to use these buttons. And there are also hotkeys you can use instead of the buttons as well, right? So for example, the first one's bold text that has asterisks. Second one is italics that has forward slashes. Underlined has underscores. Monospace has apostrophes. Strike through text has these delete tags. A lot of things in DokuWiki will have tags. There'll be a name for the tag, and the ending tag is marked by a forward slash, so you sort of know where it ends and where it begins. And yeah, if I saved that, you can, see what that looks like. There are also headings. They go from 1 to 5, so I'll quickly show you what that looks like. And yeah, you can, if you hit this button, it will basically keep it at the same level. Whereas if you hit this one lower, headline, it will look at which one you're on. So I'm on level 3, and it will put a level 2. A level 4, because it was lower. Whereas the higher will create a level 2. Sorry. So yeah, so basically it looks at what you have above your cursor, and if you hit lower, it will decrease the number of equal signs by 1, and if you hit higher, it will increase the number of equal signs by 1. If you use any of the lower or same level or higher headlines at the very top of your page, since it has nothing above to compare itself to, it just starts at the level 1 headline. So something to keep in mind. In DokuWiki, you can have links. You can have links within the wiki and to external links, so things outside of the wiki. So for example, if I wanted to have a page that took you to Amazon, I could simply do it like that. But if I wanted to link within a page to the wiki, it wouldn't be a URL with this HTTP, right? So if I hit that, it will take me to the start page within the wiki. The colon is just the name of the link. If I didn't have that there, you would get the full URL for URLs and the page name for internal links. All right, so that's just something to keep in mind. Then you can also have these lists. Ordered lists are numbered, with the first being numbers, the second being letters, and the third, being Roman numerals and so on, right? So you can see, what that looks like in a second. Whereas on the other option, which is unordered, is just bulleted points, right? With the asterisks and that many spaces. And another thing I'll show you as well is, instead of hitting save, you can even preview the page if you just want to see what it looks like before you save it. So yeah, we can see that the ordered list is created. The first spacing is numbers, second 2 of these spaces is letters, and the third is Roman numerals, and the unordered list has these dots. Okay. The horizontal rule, that creates a separator. So if I prove that again, you'll see there's now a line. And like I said, you can always save the page and you'll see there's that line for the horizontal one. I'll get to this one in a minute. This is the media manager. You can have smileys. These aren't like emojis, like even though you see smiley faces. These are actually images. So you can even add your own custom images right into the wiki, and it will be able to recognize them. So if you wanted your own pictures, you can do that. And it exports all kinds of special characters. You can include them from here, or you could just copy paste them in when you need them. I won't show you the signature because that will sort of show you my email address. But yeah, I wonder if I can show you without. Yeah, it basically just gives you your email, the name of the user that's logged in and the date. So yeah, just so you know, that's what it does. And you can also have code, right, with these tags, and that's the final one, you know, and it will render that. Now, yeah, as I was telling you, if you knew this syntax, you wouldn't have to use these buttons. So for example, we know that bold is 2 asterisks and italics is, you know, 2 forward slashes. So we can just type that in instead of using the buttons. And also, if you, you know, already have text you want this effect applied to, you can actually just highlight it and then, you know, apply it that way. So you don't have to, you know, click the button, delete what's there, and then write the text you want. And the other thing I'll tell you is you can even use hotkeys. So for this browser or this operating system, Shift-Alt-B will actually, you know, give me the bold text that we want. If you're curious about what hotkeys there are, there is this page here by DokuWiki that, you know, basically tells you, you know, based on what operating system, what browser, this is the key combination you can use. So I was using Firefox, that's why I was Alt-Shift plus a key, and it tells you all the different keys that you can potentially use. And we will mostly look at these edit controls, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Finally, I'm going to show you the media manager, right? So as we know, all media files are stored in this media folder. So yeah, if we deleted this current images that we have, I will show you when it deletes. It takes forever. Okay, so yeah, if you hit the media manager button, so aside from, you know, dragging the images here, you can actually drag them here through this wiki media management. So if I wanted to add our rabbit, you know, I can drag it in, hit upload, and then from our page, you know, I can click the image and it'll go in. If I didn't have keep window open on selection, this is actually closed, right? Which I'll show you now. I have to hit done first. After it finishes uploading, which can be quite annoying because, I mean, if you want to stay open, right? So we'll keep that open. And you'll notice that when we upload it, there's an option to overwrite existing files, so we could replace this image with a new one. You'll notice that for every image you've uploaded, there's an option to delete it. There's also an option to, you know, see the image through your browser, like the actual source file. And there's even, you know, this media manager that you can use to see, you know, all the images we have and sort of where they are and some information about them, and, you know, if there have been previous images. And so yeah, just keep that in mind. And yeah, in our media manager, we'll upload our final image. I already had it ready to go. And now I want to show you some of the options you get. So the first one is the link target, which is basically saying, you know, if the user hovers over the picture in the wiki, do we want there to be a cursor that they can, that shows that they can basically click the image to view the source file of the image or view more details about the image. So I'm going to actually click all of these buttons just to show you the difference so you understand what I'm trying to communicate. Okay. Because you'll see the difference between them. Okay. So we can see that the first option, if I open this link, it's going to have some details about the image, and I can click the image to get the source file. This one, if I click it, I don't get any details, just the source file of the image. This one, I don't have any option to click it. Of course, they could. You can still grab the image by right-clicking it and saving it, or hitting open a new image, new tab, but it doesn't have a clicky thing. And this one's just a link, so it doesn't even render the image, right? But if you click on it, then you'll be able to see it. So those are those different options. And then you'll notice there was also different sizes and different alignments. So no align just means, based on where it is, this is where it renders. There's left, and then there's, middle, and then there's right. So I'll show you that. So as you can see, we've got left, slightly towards the left, middle. It would be more obvious if I made it full screen. Middle and right. And then we've got size as well, right? So small, medium, and large. Really, it doesn't matter what you click, and also original. So if I'll show you original, so this is the original size. I think I accidentally didn't click it. Yeah, I wanted the rabbit. So yeah, I've got the original size of the file, and you can always specify what exact size you want by adding this quotation mark and then specifying what size you want it to be. So I'll show you the difference between 100 and 1000, for example. So you can see that difference, right? But that's all these size where it just basically has a preset, 200 is small and medium is 400 and large is probably 600. But you can always actually just choose what size you want yourself by just modifying this quotation value. So that's media files. And you can always delete them as well, like we were saying, by clicking that. And you can also search for a particular image. So if I wanted the rabbit, we know that it's images, and they're all called images. I suppose maybe images 2 would be more accurate if I wanted something specific. So and that sort of brings me to my next point, which is you don't actually want your media files to have such names. You want them to be specific, so because that means you can see what it is without previewing it or opening it. So ideally this would be called rabbit, this would be called tree kangaroo, and that would be called numbat, right? So just keep that in mind. And yeah, so that's the media files. And yeah, you can always have videos and sound effects, all sorts of things, even zip folders. So sky's the limit really in terms of what you can import. Sometimes it will complain and say, oh, you can't upload this file because the extension of the file isn't approved, but we'll talk about that more later on. There's a conf folder, and in the conf folder there's this mime.conf. And if I open this file for you, I just want to show you that there's certain extensions that are allowed by default, and it's not an exhaustive list. So some, if you want to upload a Word document file, it allows that, but some weird extensions like I'm just trying to think of one off the top of my head. Maybe an in DD extension file wouldn't work because it isn't in the list, so you'd actually have to manually add it to this list in order to be able to upload it through this media manager, because it checks that the extension's allowed before it will let you upload it, right? So it tells you as well what's allowed. But I'm saying you can always add more, and even if it wasn't allowed, you can actually just drag and drop the file in and then import it that way. So keep that in mind. And those are the main points. I'd like to tell you about some of the other things that DokuWiki has built into it that might not be immediately obvious since it's not in this top nav bar, right? So the first thing I would like you to be aware of is there's a table of contents that appears in every page once you have a certain number of headings. So if I added, no TOC, like no table of contents, then that table of contents will disappear. So that's the first thing I just wanted to show you. Another thing I wanted to tell you about was this no cache. So basically, what this no cache does is it makes it so whenever the page loads, it refreshes it. What normally happens is the page isn't refreshed unless you edit it. So what I mean by that is, if I had, a page and I had some text, when I save it, it updates the page. And then, if I did that again, it's gonna, update it again, right? So it adds whatever I write and saves it. But some things you want to update just by viewing the page without actually, having to edit it, change the page, and then hit save. And that's something cache does. It basically updates it just by you viewing it. So it just reloads everything without you having to save it to reload it, which can be useful because some things are more interactive, like they change. Like text is a poor example, but yeah, some things you want to keep updating every time you view it. I can't think of a good example at the moment, top of my head. Just give me a minute to think. Maybe a table of contents would be a good example. I don't mean that table of contents. I mean, I'll show you this later, but you'll be able to have like a sidebar that you can use as a navigation system. You want, whenever you add a new page, you want that new page to be added to that sidebar without having to reload the side, edit the side page file itself. The sidebar page itself stays the same, but it automatically adds new pages that you can navigate to just by viewing it. I don't have to edit it. If that didn't make sense, we'll dig into that a bit later with the no cache and its applications. As you can see, DokuWiki has this quote that you can get by this right arrow, and two of them creates two of the lines. It also has tables. So row 1, column 1, row 1, column 2, row 2, column 1, and row 2, column 2, I meant. Yeah, I've decided to come from the future just to give you some more table examples so that you can familiarize yourself with the table syntax. It is possible to use the edit table plugin to, have a nice user interface for doing these sorts of things. But if you just want to do it with the default syntax, I'm going to show you that now. So yeah, in our first example here, we have one left blank, which would be left blank here. And then we have our rows indicated in our columns. And yeah, like we can always expand it as well, obviously by, just simply adding more things, and then we get more things, right? So if I preview that, you'll now see that we have a fourth column. And we could do obviously the same for our rows. So we have row 4, column 1, row 4, column 2, row 4, column 3, and row 4, column 4. Okay, so yeah, and when that previews, it's slow, we'll have a new row, as you can see. So yeah, doing that is just with colons. Like I haven't used any other fancy symbols. So yep, that's that one. With this next one, we're actually using these wedges up top for the headers, right? And how this one works is, I'll bring it closer down, but if you want to have something pushed to the left, you just add 2 spaces with the space key to the right. If you want to have something center aligned, then you'll have 2 spaces on either side. And if you want to have something pushed to the right, you have 2 spaces to the left, as you can see here. And that will adjust the alignment of what's in that. So just something to keep in mind. Now with this example, I mean, this is just some random text, but the main thing to get out of this is if you want to cell of the table to span across multiple rows, then you just simply add 2 colons at the end. So if we preview this, you'll see what I'm saying. It's a bit slow. Oh, I guess we can just sit here. So yeah, you can see that this cell is taking up the full, it's going across 2 columns, right? And that's simply because we have this at the end. All this nonsense I've just added just to make sure you can see that visually, that it, it's just nonsense, but just so that it actually has enough text to cross the 2 columns. So that's what that does. So if you ever need a cell to span horizontally, or is this a column span, you use that too. Instead of just 1 at the end, you use 2, okay? Now the next one is if you want the cell to span across multiple rows, then you just simply add 3 colons below it. Okay, so as you can see here, we have 2 rows, and this cell, we can see because it's got the same shading, is going across both of them. So yeah, to do that, like I said, you simply just add this 3 colons below the cell you want to span across it. This one, it's not really showing much. I'm just showing you that, instead of using colons, you can use these wedges, which you've already seen, to simply have the headers up top, right? As we can see. And then in this final example, I'm showing you how you can actually have headers on the top and the bottom by simply starting with a colon, then adding the wedge, and then adding the other wedges for the headings. But yeah, it's a bit different because we start with one here, and then you also add these wedges here, instead of normally having it like this, right? So that's the difference, right? Instead of having the colons here, here, and here, we have these wedges there, and we also add a colon here, and then that will give us this headings up top and to the side. So yeah, you can see that spanning across the 2 columns, and this one's spanning across 2 columns and 2 rows, and this one's sort of normal. So anyway, you can really play around with this. This is pretty much what I was showing. I was trying to merge it all together, basically. The row span, the col span, the different headings. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. And obviously you could have blank ones too, just by leaving this up blank. So yeah, hopefully that helps. DokuWiki, what it basically does is it says, well, normally, text would be bold. If I had the asterisks, right? It's bold, but whenever you add DokuWiki, it basically just ignores what it normally does and just renders what you have here in as it's written, okay? So there were code blocks that you can use with, code, right? But another option is to actually use these, I think they're like backticks, and that will create like an inline sort of code. which can be handy. There's also this file tag that you can use, and you can actually include the name of the file here, and then when you go over it will download it. So that's how that works. These backslashes, they add a new line. So if this wasn't here, these would be rendered on the same line. But because I've added this, it's going to add a new line. If I had two of them, then there would be a line in between them both, right? So that's how that one works. And you can also have references, right? So with this syntax, and then the source will be here. And yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more that you can do than this, but just so you know, you can type in, or you can use a hotkey control left arrow, and that will bring you to the previous word, which can be handy because, if I hold control shift left arrow, I can then highlight sentence, and then I can hit shift alt B and then, make that bold. So I'm just trying to show you that there are actually keyboard only ways to do some things which can make, some tasks you might perform more efficient. Obviously there's function page down to bring you, to the top and bottom as well. Function page down and page up. I'm sure you'll come across more. I have a hotkeys on my mouse that I use for copy and pasting. So, whenever I want to add bullet points, I have to highlight this, then I hit copy, and then I'll, be able to hit paste on my mouse, and then, you'll be able to more efficiently add bullet points. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that you can actually use some hotkeys on your keyboard, and I'm sure you can find plenty more to speed up the editing process.